what an amazing career you've had, and welcome to our show today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me crying now.
Oh, we'll get you crying because you've got something you want to tell us here on Nine's coverage of the Olympic Games.
Well, I figured you were going to ask me. Otherwise, why else would you bring me into this beautiful setting, Ed? I mean, yep, it's my last Olympics.
What made you decide?
Just the fact that another 4 years from now, I'll be 85, I think. Yeah. See, you're getting older, can't remember.
Exactly.
I'll be 85, and I think that's too old to spoil the viewers' fun. But, boy, I'll miss it.
So you turn 81 on Sunday on the closing ceremony.
Yeah.
How fitting to close out the Olympic Games on your birthday. Phil, can I say this? At 81 or 81 years of age, your calling is as sharp as it's ever been. You haven't let anyone down. You haven't overstayed your welcome. You're actually still at the top of your game. Yeah,
the last thing I ever want to do is annoy the viewers. My mailbag was great after the Tour de France. It's been exceptional during this week covering the road events. All the people writing to me from Australia, and they all say the same thing. Don't ever think of retiring, but hey, I'm not invincible, and I don't want to, as I say, bore everybody. I shall miss it desperately because I love success, and there are moments when I do look quite young. It's hard to remember being young, you know.
Yeah,
but these are the days when I worked around the world and with some of the most famous people. And for example, last week I spent a long time on the telephone with Ben Stiller, who was a great actor. Robin Williams was a great friend of mine, the comedian. And they all have one thing in common, it's the bicycle. They just love the bike. And I told stories. That was what I wanted to do. I always used to say to people who started work with me for the first time, I said, look, you've got to stop the old lady going to make a cup of tea till the adverts come on. If you succeed doing that, then you're selling your sport. The experts know what I'm talking about, but it's the old lady who doesn't. Yeah,
it's great having the Times, as you say, but as a journalist and a broadcaster and a writer, and as I said, an enthusiast, because you have really been the soundtrack of cycling. And we've loved it. I mean, in Australia, you sort of brought the Tour de France to Australia on SBS and you know, the Tour Down Under and the Cadel Evans Road Race. But here at Nine, you've been a favourite over the years, and at Channel 7 at the Olympic Games. It has just been a brilliant tour de force, if you like, for you. Take me through the obvious questions. What have been some of the highlights? What were the really big races or events that really kept your imagination?
Well, the road race, calling a road race, is pretty exciting. It builds up. I mean, this race here was very long yesterday. That was 6 hours, 19 minutes and 34 seconds. That's a long time to commentate, but it was a great race. And the women's race today was superb. And now we get the complicated situation where you get Vos and Vas, and it was quite hard to sound like a firm of lawyers, don't they?
It does, yeah.
But I thought the racing, I thought the crowds in Paris have turned out. I mean, I'm a lot of French friends because of coming to the Tour de France, which has always finished on the Champs-Élysées since 1975. I've made a lot of French friends. But today, everybody came to the party and this crowd was magnificent. And the victory here beneath such a setting like the Arc de Triomphe. And Remco is one of the new bloods. He's one of the youngsters who's going to be a superstar, just like Tadej Pogacar. And I just love to see people succeed. And it's like when Anna Mears saved the embarrassment of all the Aussie cyclists when she got the only silver medal, and she just come back from a serious injury. And Anna's now chef de mission and a great friend. She kissed me live on air last time I saw her because she was grateful I advised her how to deal with it on television as a presenter and an anchor. And she's a great learner. I just love people.
So anything in particular? Was there one particular gold medal or a tour win that sticks out? And we'll get to some of the controversy over the years because we've seen the drugs come in with Lance Armstrong. Obviously, you were very close to Lance over the journey, but let's stick with the positive to start with.
Look, my first one was in 1980 in Moscow. Everybody was so happy they'd finally broken the Iron Curtain barrier and they'd gone to Moscow. But we were followed everywhere by KGB, plainclothes policemen.
Wow.
And if you went left or right off the main road, they were on you like that to say, it's not safe for you here, sir. Go that way. They steered you out, so you never saw Russia at all. That was not really a great memory, but it was a memory where I met a lot of people that looked after my career in the future, like Adrian Metcalf, who was the silver medalist in the Olympics. He now was in television. And he came up and said, I'm going to be head of sport of a new TV network. I want you to do the Tour de France. We're going to do every day live. I said, yeah, right. And I says, yeah. But he did just that. And so we were live on TV every day and with the Tour. I don't know, over the years, the Athens Olympics, the calling of Sarah Carrigan when she won what was definitely a surprise gold medal. Yeah. And she still remains one of only 2 women to have won a gold medal in the Olympic road race. The other one's, of course, Kathy Watt. Yeah. I was watching and I was reporting the end of the Tour de France in Paris, looked on the television, because I'm going to the Olympics in Barcelona straight off the back of the Paris trip, and there she was getting a gold medal. Oh, darn it, before I even get there, she won a gold medal, you know. But I love working. I'll be honest, I love working with the Australians. I'll tell you one amusing story very quickly. I hope they don't shout at me, but when I went to my first Winter Olympics in 1992 in Albertville, I walked into a storm, long faces. Somebody had found the key a week before the game started and drank all the Tuis.
Oh no.
Yeah, so there was no beer by the time the Olympics started. Tuis were very kind, they sent a new batch.
A national disaster averted.
It was totally a disaster.
As I said, the ups and downs, I mean, drugs in every sport.
Yeah.
The Lance Armstrong thing obviously was one of the biggest stories in the world, full stop, not only in sport.
Yeah, and people thought I was in the pay of Lance Armstrong because I did his gigs around the world. I flew in his private jet. I may as well have been going out with a complete stranger. Yeah. He'd sit down the front of his private jet and talk with his agents, and I go down the back and have a couple of glasses of Chardonnay. But I asked him point blank in his bedroom on one occasion, I said, Lance, I hope you don't take drugs, mate, because it's not going to be good for us. He says, I've been on my deathbed, I don't take drugs. But of course he was lying.
He's lying, yeah. And that was just a shocking incident.
Yeah, and it was all revealed in the Adelaide Hilton when I had to go and watch it through television, and the management gave me a private room, so I wasn't annoyed by the barrage of cameras out there waiting for me to make an opinion.
Phil, let's get back to the positives though. You've helped turn the Tour de France from a great, obviously, one of the great bike races of all time, but now it's a travel log. It has been amazing, you know, the different starts and finishes around Europe at various stages. I mean, it has now become one of the biggest sporting events in the world.
There's no question.
People come from all over the world to see days of it. I've done it myself just to come and be involved with people like Jerry Ryan from the Orica Green Edge team.
Jerry actually wrote to me last night and said, great call on the men's race today.
Yeah.
And I criticised one of his riders, so I thought that's very good credit from Jerry.
He's a very good man, Jerry Ryan. But when you look back now, as I said, 81 on Sunday, you have made as big an impression on the world of cycling as any of the champions, which is a huge leap for a broadcaster. Well, and it's been enormous.
And the riders and champions have told me that. Look, I've been called a humble man, I feel I am. I was doing what I could do, and I did it naturally. Nobody trained me to be a commentator. I just looked at a picture and saw a picture. And it's like the reason the French here are showing all the monuments around this beautiful road race course that we've seen, and the Palace of Versailles, etc., is because what we started years ago on the Tour de France, because the Tour de France didn't have what it wanted to sell, and that was a picture book of France. So Paul Sherry and I was by a joke. I said, that's a nice chateau, Paul. It looks like it's in need of a bit of repair, no roof on it. He goes, yeah, he said, Louis XIV lived there. Oh, look, and I said, what?
Really?
and it caught on. Yeah. Now the French employ a person to make a history book of France as the race goes around the country, and we tell them. I did also say to Paul, I said, if you don't know, mate, just tell him Louis XIV lived there, because he lived everywhere, like Napoleon.
Phil, our table here, our bench top here, is signed by all the medalists.
There's Grace, and you sat me right by Grace
Right in front of Grace Brown. I'd like you to sign it.
Sure?
Because you have been a medalist.
I'm not an Olympic champion.
Doesn't matter. You have been a champion of Olympics and also the Tour and broadcasting. So once again, Phil Liggett, as he finishes up an amazing 17 Olympic Games, 52 Tour de France's. And, mate, you're saving the rhinos in Africa. You're going to do some great gardening back home in England. And hopefully we'll still see you at the Cadel Evans race in Melbourne and the Tour Down Under in Adelaide for many years to come.
Eddie, Phil, if you don't mind, I'll put Phil Liggett, no medals, 17 Olympics.
Fantastic. Mate, you have been absolutely magnificent to the sport. And as I said, to broadcasting in general, you've been a hero to so many of us, somebody that we've looked up to. And every time that we get a chance to work with you, it's an absolute pleasure. And Phil, have a great time.
Thank you so much for bringing me on.
Good on you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Phil